Happy Homebrew Wednesday, guys! It's been a bit of a long time since I last put a video out. Various reasons for that. Usually, well, the usual one, life's got in the way. We've been trying to move house since September, and anyone who's familiar with my previous kitchen will probably recognise we have actually moved now. Hence the updated decor. So yeah, we're in the new place. We've been really busy with various things over the last few months, getting on for a year, I suppose. I've still been brewing. There's been lots of brewing going on, at least to keep myself and some friends in beers. Unfortunately, the house move has taken its toll, and I'm drinking commercial beer right now. But you're joining me on the first brew day in the new house, which is fantastic. It's Father's Day. The wife has been kind enough to take the kids out for the afternoon, and I've got a double batch on the go. So I've got one batch of an American IPA, my own recipe, in the boiler at the moment, and in a couple of minutes my timer's going to go off and I need to put this well-flocked tablet into it. And I've just doughed in on my second batch, which is going to be a pale ale with New Zealand hops, Pacifica hops, which I've never used before, so that should be exciting. In terms of projects and things like that going on, not a whole lot, because we'd spent the whole time from September last year until June this year either trying to buy a house and then not, and looking for another house and not quite managing to make anything happen. Then we were buying a house again, and then that fell through, and when that fell through, we decided we just had to get out of the place where we were. We couldn't face another winter there. So we've moved into another rental, which is down in the town which we live near in Wales. But that's all great because yeah, I can get on with a few more projects now. We've got some space. I've got a new shed. I'm going to build a kegerator pretty soon, I think, to get my kegs into, so that I can start having cold beer from them, as well as, well, depending on the season, warm beer, slightly cool beer, and really cold beer. What else? I've just entered the SJ Pour Challenge 2015, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm developing a recipe which is based around a beer that I did with my wife in mind, something that she really likes. I'm not going to give any details away at the moment because it's just the second batch of it is conditioning now in bottles, and my taste of it when bottling wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite together. So I think I need to do some more work on that. So hopefully I should be able to get that done before the I need to get the bottles in to the hub. I want to give a big shout out to a couple of people. First of all, Jonathan Ellis. John was kind enough to send me a few beers back in, I think it was probably February or March, so I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to get a video out with, at least thanks to John. We did a swap. He had a few of mine, I had a few of his. Nominally it was because he helped me out on a brew day one day months ago when I was struggling to put something together with the ingredients I had left in. So yeah, we had a swap, and I drank his. He sent me. I'm struggling to remember what it is now. There was definitely a black IPA. There was a beer that had Brett in it. I don't know if it was primary fermented with Brett, because there wasn't a lot of Bretty kind of character there, or what. So I don't know, any details, John? That'd be great. All of them were delicious, and I did film myself drinking the black IPA. However, unfortunately, when I went to take the footage from the SD card on the camera, my SD card was broken and corrupt, so I lost it, and I'm really sorry, John, that I didn't at least send you a message to apologise. But yeah, the beers were fantastic. I really enjoyed them. So yeah, thanks for that. And the second person I would like to say thank you to is Mr. Lake. Hello, Roy. I have been joining Roy's Saturday night cast for a good while now. I get onto it when I can, and sometimes it's only for a few minutes. I did jump on there last night for an hour, and it was fantastic to hear from Roy. And as always, he remembers me and gives me a good shout out. And he did mention that I've not done a video for a while, so I thought, given that it has been a long time, given that I'm in the new place, and given that it's the first brew day in the new house, and in fact, actually, it's my first double brew day, that I should give him a shout. So thank you, Roy. I hope you're all right, mate. I know that you've had a tough time of late, so cheers. By the way, what am I drinking? This is called Abingdon Bridge. It's called Loose Cannon. Or I don't know if Loose Cannon is the brewery or Abingdon Bridge is the brewery. Names, put it in the comments. Anyway, it's a told you. Whew. Sorry about that. Where was I? Abingdon Bridge. There you go. It's an English ale. It's typically English. It's not very hoppy. Good bitterness. I suspect it's kind of golden, coppery kind of colour, but it's not bottle conditioned, so I'm not even bothering with a glass. I got this in a big box of 20 beers actually from British Airways. I'm lucky enough to do a little bit of travel for my job, and I discovered that I had some British Airways air miles that I had earned years ago and were just going to waste. So I popped onto their shop, and they do cases of beer for air miles. So I got 20 English ales and 20 European Pilsners and Weiss beers, I think it was, in exchange for some air miles. So thank you for British Airways, because I have no homebrew at the moment. So that's filling the gap nicely. Excuse me. So that's about it from me. I don't know if I should tell you about what I'm brewing quickly. Go on then. Right, so first one. Can you still see me? Yeah. Where am I going? First one, Master, is an American IPA, and I'm using this yeast for the first time. It's the Yeast Bay Vermont Ale yeast. Now this is an interesting yeast. It's supposed to be, or reputed to be, the yeast that is used to ferment a beer called Heady Topper, which comes from a brewery in Vermont, funnily enough, in the United States. And if you look on the popular website Rate Beer, it's actually the #1 beer, I believe, on Rate Beer. So a lot of people have been raving about this yeast because of its ability to produce almost extra free hop profile in hoppy beers. So an American IPA, and what am I putting in it? I'm putting in Apollo, Centennial, Amarillo and Citra. So hopefully that's fairly American, isn't it? Second beer is, I mentioned it was New Zealand hops, which I've only ever used once before, and they were Pacific Jade. Now this time I'm using these ones, Pacifica. I've got a couple of packs, and I'm going to do the bittering just with a bit of good old Magnum, and I'm fermenting it with this one, this Super San Diego yeast WLP090. Used this a couple of times before, and this is going to be the second generation from this vial. Excuse me, from this vial. I have now started using a technique described on a website called Brewlosophy, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen that, and if you haven't, then just Google it, you'll find it, by a guy, I believe he's in California, I don't remember his name, but I love his website. He's got a fantastic style of writing, and he writes really interesting and engaging articles and experiments that he does. Where am I going with this? Yes, starters. And God knows why I didn't do this in the past, and I suspect many brewers are wondering the same thing. But he's got a method on there of harvesting yeast from the starter. So the idea is you get, what, 80 billion cells or something like this in a brand new vial of White Labs, and you chuck all of that into a starter, you build up the cells to what you need to pitch into your beer, and you chuck it all in the beer. Well, that's a bit silly, because when you either top or bottom crop that beer to get a harvest of yeast, you have no idea how many cells you're harvesting, and that messes up your pitching rate for the future batch. So his method that he advocates uses an overbuilding technique. So you go to some, a calculator online, or on Excel is one I use, to calculate how big your starter needs to be to get the right number of yeast cells, and you just simply overbuild the starter by about 100 billion cells, and then you split that starter when it's fermented out, and you keep some of it in the fridge for your next brew, and you pitch the rest of it into your beer, and that way you have a much cleaner source of yeast cells for your subsequent batch that can be used in the future. So this is, as I said, this is the second time, the second beer that this will have gone in, and I hope to be able to use both of these cultures 4, 5, maybe even more times before I have to go and buy new yeast. So that's really good. What else? That's probably about it. That's probably about enough, isn't it? It's been a while since I've shown my ugly mug here on YouTube. But yeah, don't worry. I don't think anyone's worried about me anyway, but I'm not dead. I am around, and I will be there vying for a place in the SJ Pour Top 3 in the UK again this year. So good luck to anybody else that's entered. All right, guys, have a good one. Happy Father's Day to any of you guys who are spending the day today doing the same thing as I am, and obviously if you have kids, and happy Father's Day even if you're not. Actually, it doesn't suppose it matter if you have kids or not, it's still Father's Day. Yeah, that's me. Cheerio, chaps.